For most of human history, looking up at the moon was an act of imagination. It was unreachable, a light in the dark, a canvas for our myths and dreams. But now, as we stand at the edge of a new century, looking up feels different. We no longer see a distant symbol, we see direction. Something has changed in us. The same sky that once inspired poetry now invites us to build. The same silver face that reflected our wonder now reflects our determination. Humanity is shifting from curiosity to purpose, from asking what is out there to how do we live there. 50 years ago, the race to the moon was about pride, power, and proving what was possible. Today, it's about survival, unity, and legacy. We are looking up again, not because we want to repeat the past, but because we finally understand what that past meant. The moon is not a trophy, it's a teacher. It teaches us how fragile Earth is and how strong we must become to protect it. It teaches us that exploration isn't a luxury, but a necessity. Because every time we stop looking beyond the horizon, we start shrinking within it. We are surrounded by challenges, climate, resources, borders, fears. Yet above all of it, there hangs a silent reminder. There is more. More to see, more to learn, more to become. And the moon, once again, is calling us to remember that. But the question isn't, can we go back? We already know the answer to that. The real question is, can we stay? Can we turn exploration into existence? Can we move from a species that visits the stars to one that belongs among them? This time, our journey isn't driven by a single nation or a single race. It's driven by something far bigger, a collective hunger for continuity. For the first time, private companies, governments, scientists, and dreamers are united by one simple truth. We can't stay earthbound forever. Look at the night sky today. It's not just beautiful, it's busy. Satellites, probes, telescopes, stations, all whispering the same message. We're learning to expand, and the moon is our first real chance to practice that expansion safely. It's close enough to reach, yet far enough to demand everything we've learned about survival. The next steps won't be easy. Living on the moon means embracing extremes, light and darkness, heat and cold, silence and radiation. It means understanding that the environment doesn't adapt to us, we adapt to it, but it also means unlocking possibilities we've never had before. Mining resources, growing food in lunar soil, creating energy from sunlight that never sets. The moon becomes a lab, not just for science, but for human resilience. And yet, even with all the technology and ambition, there's something deeply human about this return. Because when we look up, we see more than a target. We see a promise that our story is not finished, that all our inventions, our art, our questions have been leading here to a new beginning. Somewhere between curiosity and necessity lies destiny, and that's where we stand right now, at the edge of what we know, staring into what we must become. The moon calls to us again, not as a conquest, but as a home to be built, a future to be shaped. The race is no longer against each other, it's against time, against the limits we once thought were permanent. And maybe that's what makes this new journey different. It's not about proving we can reach the moon, it's about proving we can stay human while we do it. Because if we succeed, if we learn to thrive in a place that has no air, no water, no life, we won't just change where we live, we'll change what home means. And that is the beginning of everything else. More than half a century ago, humanity did something that changed the rhythm of history. For the first time, we left the world that made us. The Apollo program was not just an engineering triumph, it was a declaration that imagination could lift us higher than gravity itself. Think about that moment. A few lines of radio static, a human voice echoing through space. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Words that would outlive their speaker, words that turned the moon from a symbol into a reality. When Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, he wasn't just walking on dust, he was walking on centuries of longing. Behind him stood every inventor, every dreamer, every explorer who ever wondered if there was more beyond the horizon. The boots that touched that gray soil carried the weight of every human who had ever looked up and whispered, "Maybe one day." The world watched together, hundreds of millions of people across continents, united by a single broadcast. For one night, there were no borders, no divisions. There was only humanity, staring at the same image, a fragile figure standing on another world. It was as if we collectively exhaled, proof that we could reach beyond our cradle. But here's what's often forgotten. The moon landing wasn't just about reaching a destination. It was about realizing what it took to get there. It demanded failure, patience, and sacrifice. Apollo was born from mistakes as much as from genius. Rockets exploded, budgets broke, people doubted. Yet through all of it, we kept moving forward, driven by something that can't be measured, the need to know. And that's what made it beautiful. The Apollo missions were a symphony of courage and curiosity. Scientists, engineers, mathematicians, men and women, all working for a dream that none of them could touch, but all of them could feel. Each calculation, each bolt, each heartbeat was an act of faith. When the astronauts looked back at Earth, something inside them changed. They saw the entire planet, all of life, floating in darkness. No lines, no nations, no us and them, just one fragile sphere of blue. That image, Earthrise, became one of the most powerful symbols in human history. It reminded us that our home is small, precious, and shared. The Apollo era left us with more than technology. It left us with perspective. It showed us that exploration is not about escaping Earth, it's about understanding it. We learned to see ourselves as part of something vast, something worth protecting. And yet, after those few luminous years, we stopped going. The world turned its gaze back down, distracted by wars, politics, and the noise of everyday survival. But the echo of Apollo never really faded. It lived on in classrooms, in documentaries, in every child who pointed at the sky and said, "I want to go there." That spark, that belief that we are meant to go further, has been passed from generation to generation like a torch that never goes out. And now, that torch burns again. New rockets rise, new missions take shape. We call them Artemis, the sister of Apollo, as if the story itself demanded a continuation. And maybe it always did, because one step was never enough. It was only the first. The echo of Apollo isn't nostalgia, it's a reminder. A reminder that humanity can do extraordinary things when it chooses unity over fear and vision over comfort. We went to the moon with the computing power of a calculator and the willpower of a species that refuses to stand still. Imagine what we can do now. Apollo taught us that progress doesn't come from certainty. It comes from daring, from saying we'll try, even when no one knows how, from building not because it's safe, but because it's right. The people who built Apollo didn't just create machines, they created momentum. And that momentum never died. Every time a rocket leaves the ground today, it carries that echo with it, a whisper of what we once dared to believe. It's a voice that says, "We've done this before, we can do it again." And not just to the moon, but further. The moon landing wasn't the end of an era. It was the prologue of one. The next chapter belongs to us, the generation that watched, remembered, and decided that looking up wasn't enough. We are here to continue the sentence that Apollo began, because exploration is not about the places we reach. It's about the kind of people we become when we reach for them. The Apollo program proved that when we act as one species, there is no impossible. And as we prepare to return, not to plant flags, but to plant roots, we carry with us that same defiant spirit. The moon is waiting again, not as a relic of history, but as an unfinished conversation. Apollo was the question. We are the answer. Half a century after Apollo, the race to the moon is alive again, but this time it's different. It's no longer a race between nations, but between visions of the future. The moon has become the testing ground not for ideology, but for possibility. In the 1960s, two superpowers stared each other down across a silent sky. Each launch was a statement, each mission a move in a cosmic chess game. The goal was not the moon itself. It was prestige, dominance, proof that one system could outthink the other. When the American flag was planted, the world saw victory. But what most people missed was the truth. The real triumph wasn't political. It was human. Today, the stakes are different. The new moon race isn't about proving who we are to each other. It's about proving who we can become together. The names have changed. NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, ESA, Roscosmos, CNSA, ISRO, a global orchestra of minds, each contributing a note to the same melody. And that melody is progress. This time, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, one measured not in speed, but in sustainability. It's not about who gets there first, but who can stay, build, and thrive. The goal isn't a flag in the dust, it's footprints that don't fade. The Artemis program, named after Apollo's twin sister, embodies this shift. It's the promise of a return, not as conquerors, but as residents. It's about creating a presence that endures, one that can serve as a launch pad to Mars and beyond. It's about taking the lessons of Apollo, unity, ingenuity, and courage, and turning them into infrastructure. But make no mistake, this new era isn't without competition. Ambition still fuels innovation. Nations and companies alike are driven by dreams and, yes, by pride. Yet this competition feels different, healthier. It's not about humiliation, it's about acceleration. Each success pulls the rest of us forward. Look at what's happening. The United States prepares for crewed Artemis missions. China plans its International Lunar Research Station. Private companies develop landers, habitats, and technologies for lunar mining. Europe builds modules for space stations and propulsion systems. India and Japan map new routes and send probes to regions never explored. The moon is becoming the most international place that no one lives, yet. And maybe that's what makes this moment so extraordinary. For the first time, humanity's greatest experiment in cooperation is not happening on Earth but above it. In orbit on the surface, in the silent expanse of space, we're learning to build not just rockets, but relationships. Of course, ambition brings challenges. Questions of ownership, resources, ethics. Who has the right to what? What happens when the moon becomes not just a dream, but an economy? These are questions we've never had to ask before, and the answers will define not only space law, but our identity as a civilization. Because this new race isn't just technological, it's philosophical. It asks, can we explore without exploiting? Can we build without dividing? Can we share what we discover instead of hoarding it? The way we answer these questions will echo across the solar system. For the first time, the moon is not a prize, it's a platform. Every habitat, every experiment, every launch pad is a rehearsal for something bigger. The technologies we test there, recycling systems, closed-loop ecosystems, radiation shields, autonomous construction, are not just for astronauts. They're for Earth too. They're for us. What we learn on the moon will help us survive both out there and down here. The new moon race is not about escaping our planet. It's about extending it, extending its life, its reach, its potential. It's about ensuring that humanity's light doesn't end with one world. Because if we can learn to thrive on the moon, we can learn to thrive anywhere. And yet, for all its machinery and mathematics, this journey remains deeply human. The engineers who design rockets, the scientists who study regolith, the astronauts who train in simulated gravity, they all carry the same quiet fire, the belief that progress is worth risk, the belief that our story isn't done. The next time we see a human step onto the moon, it won't be a replay of history. It will be a renewal of purpose, a reminder that exploration is not something we did, it's something we are. Every mission, every launch, every heartbeat in this new era says the same thing: we are still reaching. Because when we look up now, we don't just see distance, we see direction. The moon is not the finish line, it's the doorway. And beyond that doorway lies everything we've ever dreamed of, and everything we've yet to imagine. The moon is often seen as barren, lifeless, and silent, but look closer, and you'll find that it holds everything humanity needs to begin again. What once looked like a desert may, in fact, be the foundation of a new civilization. The key lies not in what we bring to the moon, but in what we find there. For decades, scientists believed the moon was completely dry. Then, in the shadows of its poles, we found traces of water ice, locked in craters where sunlight has never touched. That discovery changed everything. Because water is more than just a resource, it's survival. It can be split into hydrogen and oxygen to make rocket fuel. It can sustain human life. It can become the first currency of the cosmos. Imagine this: a future where astronauts don't rely on supply ships from Earth, but instead drink, breathe, and build with what the moon provides. Lunar ice could become the oil of the next century, powering rockets not from Cape Canaveral, but from the moon itself. Every drop of water mined from lunar soil is a drop of independence from gravity's grip. And it doesn't stop at water. The moon's surface is rich in minerals: iron, titanium, silicon, and aluminum, all vital for construction. Deep beneath the regolith, there may even be helium-3, a rare isotope that could one day power fusion reactors and provide clean energy for generations. The moon could be more than a destination. It could be a fuel station for the stars. But the resources we seek aren't just physical. The moon offers something even rarer: perspective. It gives us the opportunity to rethink how we live, consume, and sustain. To build on the moon, we must learn to do more with less, to recycle, reuse, and regenerate in ways that Earth's abundance has never forced us to. The moon is a teacher of efficiency. Every system on a lunar base will have to be circular. Nothing wasted, everything reused. Oxygen from regolith, power from sunlight, water from ice, food grown in controlled environments. It's an ecosystem born not from nature, but from necessity. And what we master there will transform life back home. The technologies developed to survive the moon's vacuum could one day save Earth's atmosphere. That's the beauty of exploration. It's never one-sided. Every step forward out there is a step forward down here. The same solar panels, 3D printers, and recycling systems that will keep astronauts alive could redefine sustainability for all of us. In learning to live without Earth, we might finally learn how to live with it. But survival on the moon is not just about science and engineering, it's about resilience. Temperatures swing hundreds of degrees between day and night. The surface is covered in abrasive dust that can damage machinery and lungs alike. Radiation is relentless, and there is no air to breathe. A single mistake can be fatal. And yet, it's exactly this environment that forces us to evolve. Humanity has always thrived by facing the impossible. The moon simply raises the stakes. It demands precision, cooperation, and humility. It reminds us that our tools are only as strong as the hands that wield them, and that courage, not comfort, has always been our greatest resource. Think of the first lunar base as more than a station. Think of it as a seed, fragile, buried in dust, but destined to grow. Each habitat module, each solar array, each rover will represent one more line written in the story of human endurance. The first person to wake up to a lunar sunrise will not just be an astronaut. They will be the first citizen of a new world. And that's what makes the pursuit worth every risk. Because the moon is not just a place to visit, it's a place to learn who we are when Earth is no longer beneath our feet. It's where we discover whether humanity can truly become a spacefaring species, not just explorers, but residents of the cosmos. In the end, the moon is not giving us its resources. It's giving us a challenge, a chance to prove that we can build, adapt, and thrive anywhere, that we can turn desolation into opportunity, that we can create life where there is none. And once we master that, once we can live among the stars of our own making, there will be no limit to where we go next. Building on the moon is unlike building anywhere else. There is no atmosphere to breathe, no wind to shape the land, no rain to smooth the edges of stone. The environment is raw, silent, and utterly indifferent. Yet within that silence lies the greatest architectural challenge humanity has ever faced: how to build a home where life has never existed. Every structure on the moon will be a balance between survival and innovation. It's not enough to assemble walls and roofs. We have to create entire ecosystems. Each habitat must generate its own air, recycle its own water, protect its inhabitants from deadly radiation, and maintain a constant temperature in a world that swings from burning heat to freezing cold. Every mistake will be immediate, every success historic. The first lunar bases will likely begin modestly, inflatable or modular habitats transported by rockets and assembled by robots. These early shelters will look more like submarines than homes: small, pressurized, efficient. Inside them, every cubic meter will have a purpose: sleeping quarters, laboratories, greenhouses, life support, all connected by tunnels like veins of a living organism. Nothing wasted, everything designed for function. But humanity has never been content with mere survival. Once the basics are secured, the next step is permanence. The goal is to build not just to exist, but to belong. Scientists and architects are already imagining what lunar cities could look like: domes covered in regolith to block radiation, structures printed from lunar dust using 3D printers, entire habitats built inside lava tubes, natural tunnels formed by ancient volcanic flows. These caves hidden beneath the surface could provide natural protection from micrometeorites and temperature extremes. They may become the first true homes on another world. The materials of the moon itself will become our building blocks. Regolith, the fine gray dust that covers the surface, can be melted and shaped into bricks or used in 3D printers to create durable structures. Solar energy, abundant and constant in some regions, can power everything from habitat systems to mining operations. Step by step, humanity will transform the moon from a place we visit into a place we inhabit. The technology behind it is breathtaking. Autonomous robots laying foundations before humans arrive. Rovers transporting materials across endless plains. Machines using microwaves to fuse lunar dust into solid tiles. Even small nuclear reactors may hum quietly beneath the surface, providing stable energy through the long lunar nights. It's not science fiction, it's construction on the edge of imagination. But building on the moon isn't just about technology, it's about psychology. How do we create comfort in a place that knows no warmth? How do we make people feel at home when the world outside can kill them in seconds? Lighting, space design, and even color will matter. The first lunar architects will not only be engineers, they'll be caretakers of the human spirit, because living in isolation, far from the familiar rhythms of Earth, demands more than machines. It demands meaning. Every window, or digital screen pretending to be one, will look out onto a horizon unlike any other. A world without sound, where shadows stretch forever. Yet through those views, something profound will happen. The people living there will see Earth rise above the gray surface, a small, glowing reminder of home. And perhaps they will realize that this new home does not replace the old one. It protects it. It honors it. Building on the moon will teach us humility. It will remind us that every beam, every bolt, every seal is a lifeline. That progress isn't about conquering nature, but cooperating with it, even when that nature is alien. The engineers who build the first lunar bases won't just be creating shelter, they'll be building trust in humanity's ability to endure anywhere. And once the first base stands, something irreversible will happen. The moon will stop being a destination. It will become a location. A new branch of human civilization will take root, fragile at first, but growing stronger with each sunrise. Children born on Earth will look up and know that, somewhere out there, people are living beneath another sky. It's easy to see the technical marvel in this, but the deeper beauty is philosophical. The act of building on the moon is, at its core, a statement of belief that we are capable of nurturing life even in lifelessness. That the same hands that once built temples and towers can now raise homes among the stars. And that architecture, in its truest form, has never been about walls, but about hope. So when we imagine those first glowing domes on the lunar surface, we should remember they are more than shelters. They are symbols, proof, that humanity's reach is no longer bound to one planet. They represent the moment we stopped being visitors of the cosmos and started becoming its residents. Technology is the backbone of every great human adventure, and nowhere is that more true than on the moon. In the vacuum of space, where there is no margin for error, innovation is not a luxury, it's survival. The technologies being built today are not only redefining what's possible beyond Earth, but also reshaping the way we think about life itself. Imagine the first lunar dawn, machines waking up before humans do, autonomous robots crawling across the surface, checking solar arrays, repairing habitats, mining ice from shadowed craters, artificial intelligence coordinating energy distribution, monitoring oxygen levels, predicting equipment wear before it happens. This is not a dream of the distant future. It's the operating system of tomorrow's moon. Automation will be the first frontier. Robots will do what humans can't, work endlessly, precisely, and safely in a place where one mistake could mean catastrophe. They'll construct habitats, pave landing zones, and explore regions where radiation and cold would cripple a person in minutes. The moon will be our first great partnership between humanity and machine, not master and servant, but teammates. At the same time, energy will define success. The moon has no atmosphere, but it has light. Pure, unfiltered sunlight pouring down for 2 weeks at a time. Massive solar farms could power entire bases, storing energy in advanced batteries or even molten salts for the long lunar nights. In darker regions, small modular reactors, compact, portable nuclear systems, could provide steady, reliable power for years. Every watt will matter. Every photon will count. Communication will be another miracle of engineering. With no air, sound cannot travel, but information can. Bouncing between satellites, stations, and rovers through laser-based systems that transmit data faster than anything we've built before. A network of lunar satellites will one day orbit the moon, creating a cislunar internet, the first true network beyond Earth. From mission control to the far side of the moon, Connection will never be more than a beam of light away. And as we build, we'll need to learn. Artificial intelligence will not only assist, it will adapt. It will study dust patterns, analyze solar exposure, and optimize every system in real time. It will become a silent partner in our survival, anticipating problems before we even notice them. The first lunar settlers may rely on AI as much as they rely on air. Then there's the question of mobility. How do we move across a world without roads, where dust rises and never settles? New rovers, powered by solar or nuclear energy, will roam for months without human touch. Some will drive themselves, others will fly. Small autonomous drones designed for lunar gravity, mapping craters and scouting terrain. The moon will buzz with silent motion, a ballet of machines dancing under a black sky. The technologies being developed for the moon will echo far beyond it. Closed-loop life support systems, recycling air, water, and waste, could one day sustain cities in deserts or underwater on Earth. Advanced robotics will make construction safer and more efficient in every environment, and energy innovations born in lunar labs could redefine how we power our own planet. But what truly makes these technologies extraordinary is not their complexity. It's their purpose. They're not being designed to make life easier. They're being designed to make life possible. Every line of code, every solar panel, every circuit board is a declaration that humanity refuses to be confined to one world. Yet even in the age of automation, there will be one thing machines cannot replace: the human spirit. Technology can build walls, but only people can give them meaning. Robots can maintain a habitat, but only humans can call it home. The moon will test not just our inventions, but our imagination, how we choose to use the tools we create. This is why the new generation of lunar technology is being built with a philosophy as much as a function. Flexibility, resilience, sustainability. These are not just technical goals, but moral ones. Because every circuit that hums on the moon will represent a choice to build not just for ourselves, but for everyone who will follow. One day, decades from now, a child might look up at the sky from Earth and see a tiny glimmer on the moon, a reflection from a solar farm, a light from a habitat window, a signal from a base broadcasting across the void. And they will understand that those lights are not just technology. They are the pulse of a living future. The machines we send today are the architects of that future. They will lay the foundations of a civilization built on innovation, endurance, and trust, a partnership between humanity and the technologies it creates. And when we finally arrive to join them, we'll be walking into a world shaped by our own genius. The moon is becoming the greatest experiment in human history, a laboratory where technology and existence merge. Every system we build there will be a reflection of what we value most: adaptability, creativity, and cooperation. In mastering those, we won't just survive the moon, we'll learn how to thrive anywhere. For all our machines and technology, it's still people who make exploration possible. The moon may test our inventions, but it will test our humanity even more. Because no matter how advanced our tools become, the greatest challenge will always be the human spirit itself. Life on the moon will not be easy. Days will stretch into weeks of sunlight, nights into endless darkness. The temperature will swing from unbearable heat to deadly cold. Radiation will seep through the walls. Every breath, every sip of water, every heartbeat will depend on systems that can never fail. There will be no sky to look up at, no rain to hear, no wind to feel. For the first time, humans will live without nature and learn what that truly means. Isolation will be one of the hardest challenges. On Earth, even in the quietest places, there is life everywhere. The hum of insects, the rustle of trees, the distant sound of the ocean. On the moon, there will be silence. Absolute silence. the kind that presses against your thoughts until it becomes part of them. Astronauts will have to learn how to find peace in that emptiness, how to create meaning when the world around them offers none. Communication with Earth will bring comfort, but it will never be the same as presence. Messages delayed, voices distant, faces seen only through screens. The first lunar settlers will live in a time lag, connected, yet apart. They will have to build not only homes but hearts strong enough to withstand distance. And yet, this isolation may also reveal something beautiful. Away from the noise of Earth, people will rediscover simplicity. They will live with purpose, surrounded by necessity. Every task will matter. Every action will echo. To grow food in lunar soil, to repair a life support valve, to watch Earth rise through a small window, these acts will feel sacred. The moon will strip life down to its essentials, and in doing so, remind us what truly sustains us. Teamwork will be survival. On the moon, cooperation won't be optional. It will be oxygen. Crews will have to trust one another completely, to share not just work, but emotion. Conflict, pride, and impatience will be as dangerous as radiation or vacuum. Leadership will mean listening. Strength will mean empathy. The first lunar societies will succeed not because of hierarchy, but because of harmony. Psychologically, the moon will be a mirror. It will reflect our fears, our hopes, our endurance. Living there will challenge identity itself. Are we still Earthlings, when Earth is a distant light in the sky? Or do we become something new? Pioneers of a hybrid existence, citizens of two worlds. Perhaps the first true space humans will be defined not by where they were born, but by what they chose to endure. The human body will face its own set of trials. Lunar gravity is 1/6 of Earth's, enough to stand, but not enough to sustain muscle and bone without effort. Radiation exposure, disrupted sleep cycles, weakened immunity, these will all demand new forms of medicine and adaptation. Every breath taken on the moon will be an experiment in biology, every heartbeat a data point in evolution. Humanity will be rewriting itself, cell by cell, psyche by psyche, to fit the universe it seeks to inhabit. But for all its hardships, the moon will also inspire awe. Imagine stepping outside a lunar base, seeing the Earth suspended above the horizon, blue, fragile, beautiful. In that moment, every struggle will make sense. The distance will no longer feel like separation, but connection, a reminder that we are part of something greater than the ground beneath our feet. The moon will teach us humility. It will remind us that we are not conquerors of space, but guests within it. It will show us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. That progress is not built by perfection, but by persistence. And when future historians look back on this era, they won't just record the names of rockets and missions. They'll remember the people, the first generation who chose to live beyond their birthplace. The ones who carried not only science but spirit across the void. Because in the end, this journey is not just about exploring another world. It's about understanding our own. The moon will challenge everything we think we know about humanity, and, in doing so, reveal who we've been all along. The first person to call the moon home will not be a scientist or an engineer. They will be a human being, fragile, resilient, curious, and brave. Their heartbeat will echo across the vacuum, a quiet declaration that says, "We are still here. We have always been here, and now we are everywhere." The moon is not the end of exploration. It's the beginning. Every bolt tightened, every footprint pressed into its dust is a rehearsal for what comes next. The moon is our closest neighbor, but more importantly, it is our first bridge to the stars. It is the launch pad for the next great human migration, from one world to many. For the first time in history, humanity is learning to think beyond orbits and destinations. We are learning to think in terms of pathways, routes that stretch outward from Earth, linking worlds together like stepping stones across the cosmic sea. And the first of those stones is the Moon. From a distance of only 384,000 kilometers, the Moon is both close enough to reach and far enough to matter. Its weak gravity, abundant sunlight, and potential resources make it the perfect base for launching deeper missions. From there, rockets can escape Earth's pull with a fraction of the energy. Imagine it: spacecraft fueled on lunar hydrogen, assembled in orbit above a world that has no atmosphere to resist them, setting sail for Mars, asteroids, and beyond. The Moon is not a destination, it's a departure point. This concept, using the Moon as a springboard, transforms everything. Instead of launching everything from Earth, we begin to build from space itself. A network of refueling stations, habitats, and waypoints could one day connect the Moon to Mars, and Mars to the outer planets. Humanity's sphere of activity expands like ripples in a pond, each one beginning with a single drop: our return to the Moon. It's not just about logistics, it's about psychology. The moment we live and work on the Moon, we will prove to ourselves that space is not a void, it's a frontier. That humans can adapt to places that were never meant for us. That survival beyond Earth is not a fantasy, but a fact. And from that realization comes courage. The kind of courage that looks beyond the next horizon and asks, what's after this? The Moon will become our cosmic classroom. There we will learn how to extract resources without destroying ecosystems, how to grow food in hostile conditions, how to endure isolation, and how to govern fairly when the nearest authority is 250,000 miles away. Every lesson we learn on the Moon will be a blueprint for Mars, and every mistake, a warning. Mars is the next logical step, but it will be nothing like the Moon. The distances are greater, the risks higher, the rewards grander. A journey to Mars takes months, not days. Communication delays stretch minutes, not seconds. The Moon, in comparison, is close enough to call home. It is our training ground, the place where we will make our first mistake safely, before facing the silence of the interplanetary abyss. And when we finally go, it won't be just for exploration, it will be expansion. The Moon will serve as the shipyard of humanity's next fleet. From lunar orbit, we may one day launch vessels bound for Mars, for the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, for asteroids rich in metals and mystery. The infrastructure we build around the Moon will become the foundation of a civilization that no longer depends on Earth's gravity to define its reach. Imagine it: a lunar port, gleaming towers rising from the gray plains, where ships refuel before heading into deep space. Habitats that double as laboratories, testing materials that could survive the storms of Jupiter. Robots mining helium-3 for fusion reactors that will power interplanetary journeys. The Moon as a crossroads, where every direction points to a new world. But perhaps the most profound shift won't be technological. It will be cultural. When the Moon becomes our gateway, humanity's sense of home will change forever. Earth will no longer be the center of everything. It will be the heart of something larger, a network of worlds connected by human hands, imagination, and courage. This transformation will raise new questions. Who governs beyond Earth? How do we share resources among planets? What laws apply where gravity fades? The answers will shape not only our future in space, but our ethics as a species. Because as we move outward, we carry not just technology, but responsibility. The Moon will remind us of that every step of the way. Each rocket launched, each station built, each human life sustained beyond Earth will be an act of stewardship, proof that we can grow without consuming, explore without erasing, and create without forgetting where we came from. One day when our descendants look back, they won't see the Moon as the place we reached. They'll see it as the place we began, the first harbor on the cosmic ocean, the first bridge between Earth and infinity. The moon is where humanity will learn to leave home, not in defiance of it, but in honor of it. Because to explore the universe is not to abandon Earth, it is to preserve it, to extend its story, to carry its light forward. And maybe, centuries from now, when people stand on worlds we can't yet imagine, they'll look up at their own skies, see a pale circle among the stars, and whisper the same truth we're beginning to understand today. The moon was never the destination, it was the way. The road to Mars begins not with rockets, but with resolve. It begins with a question whispered across generations. Can we live on another world? The moon will give us the tools, but Mars will test our soul. It's not just a journey of distance, it's a journey of transformation. Mars has always called to us, red, mysterious, and near enough to touch our imagination. From ancient astronomers to science fiction writers, it has been the mirror where we project our hopes and fears. Now, for the first time, we are preparing to make that mirror real. The red planet is no longer a dream. It's a destination. And the path that leads there begins on the gray dust of the moon. Everything we learn on the moon, how to build, how to breathe, how to sustain, will become the foundation of our Martian future. Lunar bases are the dress rehearsal. Mars is the premiere. There, every mistake will cost more. Every success will mean more. Mars is a world that both welcomes and rejects us, daring us to adapt or perish. Unlike the moon, Mars has an atmosphere, thin, toxic, but still there. It has valleys and volcanoes, seasons and storms. It has ice buried beneath its poles and the ghosts of ancient rivers carved into its crust. It's the most Earth-like planet we've found, and yet it's utterly alien. Living there will mean rewriting everything we know about survival. The first missions will be monumental. They'll launch from lunar orbit, fueled by resources mined from the moon, carrying explorers who will become the first true interplanetary travelers. Weeks in transit, months on the surface, years away from home. Every breath they take will be a victory. Every sunrise over the Martian horizon will mark a new chapter in human history. Imagine that first landing, the descent through a thin red haze, the dust swirling in low gravity, the silence after the engines fade, the first footprint pressed into rust-colored soil, and above the horizon, a tiny blue dot, Earth, the home we left, shining like memory. In that moment, humanity will no longer belong to one world. We will belong to two. But the journey to Mars is more than physical. It's philosophical. It asks who we are and what we choose to become. Mars will test not just our technology, but our empathy, our cooperation, our patience. There will be moments of triumph, but also of doubt. Homesickness, loneliness, fear, all will follow us there. Because wherever we go, we carry ourselves. Yet, those challenges are exactly what make the dream worth chasing. The risk is the price of progress. Every frontier humanity has ever crossed has demanded courage greater than comfort. The oceans didn't stop us. The skies didn't stop us. The void won't either. Mars will not be conquered. It will be cultivated, slowly, carefully. Each outpost a seed, each habitat a promise. Solar farms stretching across red plains, greenhouses glowing like lanterns in the thin Martian night. A new world, fragile and growing, shaped by human hands and hope. And over time, something extraordinary will happen. Children will be born who have never seen an ocean, who will call a world of dust and wind their home. Their sky will be pink, their gravity gentle, their stories new. For them, Earth will be legend, a beautiful, distant birthplace. They will be the first generation not of explorers, but of settlers. That is the true meaning of the road to Mars. It's not about escape or conquest, It's about continuity, about ensuring that the story of humanity doesn't end where it began. Because if we can plant roots on another world, then no disaster, no war, no mistake will ever erase us. We will have become, in the truest sense, immortal. And as we stand on that red soil, staring back at the planet that gave us life, we'll understand something profound. The drive to explore is not about leaving home. It's about carrying it with us, building new homes in its image wherever we go. Earth is not something we abandon. It's something we extend. The road to Mars is the road to ourselves, to the better, braver version of what humanity can be. It's a promise written in rocket trails and solar panels, in heartbeats and dreams. A promise that we will not stop reaching, not stop learning, not stop becoming. And when the first settlers look up at the stars from their new world, they will see the moon glowing softly above, and beyond it, the blue shimmer of Earth. 3 worlds, connected by will, by wonder, by human hands. That will be the moment we finally understand what our journey has been about all along. We were never meant to stay in one place. We were meant to keep going. To imagine humanity among the stars is to imagine our next great evolution, not biological, but spiritual. Becoming an interplanetary species is not just about where we live. It's about who we become when the boundaries of Earth no longer define us. For thousands of years, we've told stories of gods in the heavens, of journeys beyond the sky, of destinies written among the constellations. We have always looked up and wondered what it would mean to join them. Now, that mythology is turning into reality. The dream of interplanetary humanity is no longer a fantasy of science fiction. It's the logical continuation of human history. The moon will be our first step, Mars our next home. But the real transformation happens inside us. The moment humanity spreads beyond one planet, we stop being defined by the ground beneath our feet and start being defined by the space between the stars. Our culture, our art, our science, our sense of self, all will change. We will begin to see ourselves not as citizens of nations, but as citizens of the cosmos. It's difficult to grasp what that means. For millennia, our world has shaped our perspective. Our politics, our conflicts, even our languages are products of geography. Mountains, oceans, and borders have divided us. But when you live on the moon, on Mars, or in orbit, those divisions fade. There are no continents in space, only connections. The dream of interplanetary humanity is, at its core, a dream of unity. When we look back from another world, we see Earth for what it truly is, a single oasis, small and fragile, suspended in darkness. That view changes everything. The us versus them of history becomes meaningless. The idea of home expands until it includes everything that lives and breathes beneath that blue glow. But this dream is not automatic. It will demand maturity, morally, intellectually, emotionally. To survive among the stars, humanity will need to evolve beyond greed and short-term thinking. Cooperation will no longer be a virtue, it will be a requirement. On a planetary scale, division is dangerous. On an interplanetary scale, it's fatal. The first interplanetary communities will not be built by governments alone. They will be built by scientists, engineers, artists, and visionaries, people united not by nationality, but by purpose. The idea of Earthling will replace every other label. Our music, our literature, our philosophies will begin to reflect a wider consciousness. We will start to write not as inhabitants of Earth, but as participants in the universe. Think of what that could mean for our identity. A child born on the moon might grow up with a sense of belonging to more than one world. Their bedtime stories might feature both the oceans of Earth and the craters of their own horizon. A student on Mars might study not just human history, but the geology of 2 planets, comparing their stories like siblings. A poet in orbit might write verses about the silence between stars and call it home. Art will be our first ambassador among the stars. Just as cave paintings recorded the dawn of human imagination, the songs and stories of our spacefarers will record the dawn of interplanetary life. Every melody sung in a habitat, every mural painted on a module wall will become part of our universal heritage. Culture will be the glue that holds humanity together when the void tries to pull us apart. And then there's philosophy, the question of meaning itself. Why go at all? Why risk so much for so little? The answer lies in the very essence of who we are. Exploration has always been humanity's way of understanding existence. We move outward to understand inward. We go to the stars not to escape life, but to expand it, to make sure that consciousness, curiosity, and creativity do not fade with one world's fate. The dream of interplanetary humanity is a dream of continuity, of ensuring that everything beautiful and fragile about our species endures. It's a dream of diversity multiplied, not erased. Different worlds, different environments, different cultures, all united by a single thread, the will to survive and to wonder. And yet, even as we spread outward, we will always carry a piece of earth within us. The smell of rain, the sound of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, these will become sacred memories, passed down like myths. Future generations on other worlds will look to Earth not as their center, but as their origin story. And that story will bind them together. One day, far in the future, humanity will look up from a dozen different skies, from moons, planets, and stations orbiting distant suns, and realize that we have become something new, a civilization of many homes, many hearts, one heritage. The boundaries that once defined here and there will vanish. The universe itself will become our neighborhood. And when that day comes, we may finally understand the purpose of all our striving. The dream of interplanetary humanity is not about conquering the cosmos. It's about joining it, becoming part of the great unfolding story of life in the universe. It's about taking our place among the stars, not as masters, but as participants, aware, alive, and responsible. Because in the end, the dream has never been about escaping Earth. It has always been about honoring it, by ensuring that its legacy doesn't end here, by carrying its light forward one world at a time. Exploration has always been the heartbeat of humanity. It's what pulled our ancestors out of the caves, across oceans, and eventually into the sky. To explore is to live, to refuse stillness, to challenge the edges of what we know. And now, as we stand on the threshold of the stars, that same ancient impulse beats stronger than ever. But what does exploration really mean? Is it simply about reaching new places, planting flags, and collecting data? Or is it something deeper, something that speaks to the soul rather than the map? When we look at the history of discovery, we see that every great leap forward began not with knowledge, but with wonder. It was never about what we found. It was about what we became in the process. The moon, Mars, and the worlds beyond are not just destinations. They are mirrors, reflecting our own potential back at us. Every voyage outward is a voyage inward. We go to understand what it means to be human, to test our limits, to stretch our imagination until it touches infinity. Exploration is not about escape, it's about expansion. It's about carrying life where there was none, and meaning where there was emptiness. Some say that exploration is a luxury, a distraction from the problems of Earth. But the truth is the opposite. Exploration has always been our greatest teacher. It shows us perspective. From space, borders disappear. Conflicts shrink to irrelevance. You see one planet, whole, fragile, shared. That view changes people. It reminds us that our survival depends not on separation, but on unity. The meaning of exploration lies in transformation. The explorers of the future won't just travel through space, they'll travel through identity. They'll discover what it means to be human when home is measured not by land, but by light years. They'll redefine community, family, purpose, and they'll carry with them a truth as old as time. We go not because it's easy, but because it's who we are. To explore is to hope. Every rocket that rises, every rover that lands, every signal that travels through the void is an act of faith. Faith that the unknown can be met with understanding. Faith that our species can grow wiser as it grows older. Exploration is humanity's way of saying to the universe, we're listening, we're learning, we're ready. There's a reason why space exploration stirs emotion in even the most rational minds, because it speaks to something primal, the desire to belong to something greater. When we send missions into the unknown, we're not just looking for new worlds, we're looking for connection to each other, to the cosmos, to the story of life itself. And that's why the pursuit must continue, no matter the cost. Because every generation that looks up must see more than the one before. If we stop reaching, we stop evolving. If we stop dreaming, we start dying. The stars are not a distraction from reality. They are a reminder of what reality can be when touched by imagination. Exploration also carries responsibility. The more we see, the more we owe to our planet, to each other, to the universe itself. To explore ethically is to honor the places we visit, to preserve their beauty, to treat discovery not as conquest, but as communion. The future of exploration must be rooted in respect, because the measure of a civilization is not how far it travels, but how wisely it does so. The meaning of exploration, ultimately, is continuity. The unbroken thread that links the first spark of fire to the first spark of a rocket engine. It's the same drive that turned curiosity into civilization, fear into courage, darkness into dawn. We are the children of that instinct, the explorers of thought, of ocean, of sky, and now of space. And what's waiting out there? We don't know. That's the point. The universe doesn't owe us answers. It offers us questions. And in chasing them, we find meaning, we find purpose, we find ourselves. One day, far from now, when our descendants walk beneath alien suns, they'll look back at this moment, this fragile age of beginnings, and they'll understand. They'll see that exploration was never just about going somewhere new. It was about becoming something new. It was about learning to live with courage, to think with wonder, to love without boundaries. That is the meaning of exploration, to carry the fire forward, to keep asking, keep searching, keep believing that the unknown is not our enemy, but our invitation. The universe calls, and we answer, not with fear, but with light. The future doesn't begin in some distant century. It begins now, with every decision we make, every dream we dare to follow. The moon is not waiting. The stars are not waiting. The future is already unfolding, and it's asking us a simple question. Will we be part of it? For too long, we've thought of space as something far away, the domain of scientists, astronauts, and visionaries. But the truth is, space belongs to all of us. It's the shared inheritance of every person who has ever looked up at the night sky and wondered. The journey to the moon, to Mars, and beyond isn't just for those who fly rockets. It's for those who believe that the human story isn't finished. Right now, as we speak, new rockets are being built, new technologies tested, new dreams ignited. Across the world, students study the stars, engineers design habitats, artists paint visions of cosmic cities. Humanity is preparing step by step to become something greater, not just a species of Earth, but a species of space. But the greatest leap won't happen in a laboratory or on a launch pad. It will happen in our minds. It will happen when we decide that exploration is not optional, but essential. When we understand that the same courage that carried us across oceans must now carry us across the void. When we realize that the sky was never a limit, it was an invitation. The future of humanity is not written in the stars. It's written by the hands that reach for them. Every discovery, every invention, every act of curiosity adds another line to that story. The moon will be the first chapter, Mars the second, and beyond that, countless more, written by generations who will grow up knowing that impossible was just another word for not yet. We often talk about the future as if it's something that happens to us. But the truth is, the future happens because of us. It's shaped by our choices, by our courage, by our willingness to dream bigger than fear. The people who build the next world are not superhuman. They're just humans who refuse to stop imagining. And that's what this moment is about. The return to the moon is not nostalgia. It's renewal. It's a reminder that humanity's greatest strength is not its technology, but its persistence. We fall, we fail, we rebuild, and we rise again. The footprints left in lunar dust half a century ago are not the end of the story. They're the beginning of the next ascent. Every era has its frontier. For us, it's the space beyond our world, a place vast and silent, waiting for voices, for laughter, for life. The first colonies on the moon, the first gardens on Mars, the first lights on distant moons. These will be the landmarks of a civilization that chose to keep moving forward. And when we look back from those worlds, we'll see Earth not as the center of everything, but as the heart of everything. The blue origin of our story, glowing softly in the dark. Every world we touch, every sky we light, will be a tribute to the one that gave us birth. The future begins now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this moment. It begins with every mind that dares to ask, what if? Every child that looks up and dreams, every person who believes that progress and purpose still matter. Because the universe doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards motion. We are the generation standing on the edge of forever. The moon is calling. Mars is waiting. The stars are watching. And everything that comes next, every discovery, every breakthrough, every dawn, begins with us. So look up. The same moon that has watched over us for millennia is now our destination, our beginning, our bridge to the infinite. The night sky is not a ceiling, it's a promise. The future begins now.